On the Sunday after the Feast of Pentecost, we celebrate the Feast of All Saints. And as a practical matter, on this day, all of those whose name is not for a saint of the church that has been previously glorified, everyone who bears a name that does not have a patron saint associated. This is the day on which all of those celebrate. For we recognize indeed that there are many more who have been sanctified, many more who have lived holy lives than are contained in the lists of saints in the church. Many indeed who have lived in obscurity, unknown by any but their own families and loved ones, lives of deep piety, of deep faithfulness, lives dedicated above all to God. It is right then that we should consider what is the manner of life of a saint, both of those who are known and of those who are unknown. And it is this that the Lord speaks of today, assuring his disciples that as they have left all and followed him, indeed they will receive the blessings that are promised to those who enter into the kingdom. And then he says further that no one who has, for the sake of the Lord, that is important, left their brothers, their sisters, their father, their mother, their spouse, or their children, no one who has forsaken loved ones for the sake of the Lord will go unrewarded. So is the Lord saying, we must ask, that if we want to be saints, and we know that we are all called to be saints because we are all baptized in the same font, we are all called to this, is the Lord then saying that we have to abandon our loved ones, we have to leave behind our responsibilities, and betray everything that we understand to be important? In a word, no. However, there are two ways in which we may love our loved one, and one of them is absolutely right, and one of them is absolutely wrong. And all of us exist in tension between the two poles. The one manner of love is possession, holding tight to our ownership of those who are dear to us. We all know what this looks like. We all know what this feels like, as a relationship that is dear to us feels like it is slipping away as we find ourselves in tension or in conflict with someone who is dear to us. We know that knot in the depths of our stomach. We know that rising panic that comes from the feeling that we are about to lose something essential in our relationship with our loved ones. It is like death. And indeed, those of us who have experienced the death of a loved one know that the feelings are the same. The sense that the world has suddenly crumbled around us. For we have lost someone who was important to us. That is the one kind of love. And although it is real, although the pain of that loss is genuine, we must recognize too that at the heart of it, that love is nothing more than the desire to always possess, to always have someone who we need in order to live. And then there is the other kind of love. The kind of love that gives rather than taking. The kind of love that enjoys the presence of the other without the need to possess. The kind of love, in short, that we can only love when our essential needs are not bound up in the other person. The kind of love that we can only love when our deepest needs are fulfilled in the Lord. This then is what Jesus is saying to his disciples, what he is saying to all of us. Insofar as the relationships we have with brothers, sisters, parents, children, spouses, insofar as these relationships are bound up with ownership, with possession, with need, with constraint and obligation in our minds, we must learn to leave these possessions behind. We must learn to let them go. Not that we abandon the relationship, but that we abandon ownership, that we abandon constraint and compulsion, that we learn to exist in freedom with those who are important to us. And that we not only do this with respect to them, but that we turn away from possession of them and turn towards the Lord, receiving all that we need from him, so that we can then turn back to those essential relationships in our lives, not with possession, not with tension and conflict and ownership, but rather with self-emptying love. This is the journey of the Christian husband, the Christian wife, the Christian son, the Christian daughter, the Christian brother, the Christian sister. Learning to let go of possession and control in these relationships. Turning to the Lord for the fulfillment of all the needs that we would have exercised by possession and control of those around us. And then turning back to them with the love of the Lord. This is the road of wholeness, of peace, and of love. This is the road of sanctification. To learn how to say with truth that my God, our God, has fulfilled all our needs according to his riches and glory, and that we who have been so richly blessed turn ourselves to those around us and offer that abundance of love to everyone that we know, without constraint, without obligation, without repayment, but only with the love of God welling up forever in our hearts. This is the Christian way. This is the way in which we become saints. This is the way in which we follow Christ. Now please stand, and we will continue the divine liturgy. May the Holy Trinity protect, keep, and guard all of you. You may be seated. This is the last Sunday before we are able to once again open the doors and have the faithful present once again for the Divine Liturgy. We have sent out a number of announcements by email, noting that when the doors are open, there will be limitations to how many are allowed to be inside the church. The latest update is that that limit is 1/4 of the church's normal capacity, which means we cannot have more than 100 people in the pews at any given time. We will be setting off pews in the course of the coming week, so it will be clear where to sit. I would ask, when you all come next week, please follow the instructions of the parish council, who will seat you to help maintain the social distancing. Make certain to wear a mask, as masks are required inside the church at this time. And recognize that we will, instead of making a long line for Holy Communion as we normally do, the council members will bring one family group at a time up for Holy Communion. When you come for communion, please do not wipe your mouth on the red napkin that will be held under your chin by the two assistants here to ensure that nothing falls to the ground. We do have small napkins for you to wipe your mouth with if you wish and if you need to. When we give communion, we do ask, please open your mouth wide so that we can drop communion on your tongue rather than you closing your lips around it. In this way, we can ensure that no one feels afraid to come and approach the chalice. This is the concern. There is not, in fact, a possibility of getting sick from Holy Communion. This is an essential belief of the Orthodox Church. But we recognize in these times of fear and anxiety, a little reassurance, a little help can go a long way. So for this reason, we are giving communion by dropping it on the tongue instead of closing the mouth, and we do have the wherewithal to cleanse the spoon following, just so that who comes forward next is assured that it has had no contact with anyone else. There is a sign-up sheet, a sign-up form on the church website if you'd like to reserve your place in the pews. We will give, of course, first opportunity. We will reserve the space for all those who have reserved a place. And if anyone comes after and we are above that 100 limitation, then the doors will have to be closed and you will not be able to come in. I will be able to come outside afterwards and distribute to any who wish, so that no one is kept from the sacraments, and that so we nonetheless maintain the compliance with the guidelines and protocols that have been given for the sake of everyone's health. So, on a more joyful note, today we are celebrating the end of the school year and the graduation of a number of our young people, both from high school and from college. As we cannot gather for our church picnic, as we normally would have done last week, as we cannot gather for games and for fellowship, we will instead meet in our vehicles and drive around the parking lot. And if you are living nearby the church and are not here, if you hear a racket of car horns and noisemakers and children yelling, rest assured everyone is still observing social distance, but we can still celebrate and rejoice together as we do so. So, I look forward to seeing many of you next week and in the days and weeks that follow. I pray that you all will stay healthy and retain the joy and the hope and the peace of the Lord in these times and always. God bless you.